Hello, and welcome to this first episode of the Soulutions podcast. I'm your host, Lila, and I'm beyond excited to be sharing some truly impactful stories with you today. This Solutions podcast is all about celebrating the incredible heroes of our world, those who are actively working towards solutions to some of the most pressing challenges that we're facing nowadays. At Solutions, our mission is to bridge the gap between impactful projects and the resources that they need to scale and grow in order to celebrate and amplify the important work that they're doing. And today we have a guest whose work embodies the very essence of this mission. Joining us today is Jessica Sheffield Zamora. She's the founder of Guardianes de la Naturaleza, an organization on the front lines of regenerating our education systems and reconnecting children with nature. Jessica and her team are not just educating, they're creating a true blueprint for the future of ecological awareness and environmental education and action in the school systems of Costa Rica and the world. And it's truly at the core of every child's learning experience. So before we dive into Jessica's inspiring work, I just wanted to take a quick moment to introduce you to Soulutions also. We're an online fundraising platform that amplifies the world's most impactful projects. We recognize the power of storytelling and transparency in driving positive change on the ground, and we are on a mission to connect donors and impact investors with projects like Guardianes de la Naturaleza, which are driving real sustainable solutions. So this is basically what we're committed to supporting. And projects like Guardianes de la Naturaleza are the heroes on the ground, the real change makers that we need to celebrate more and more to really pivot the notion and the stories in our world. So let's dive right into today's conversation with Jessica. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so inspired that Guardianes de la Naturaleza is redefining what education can be, using Costa Rica as a living lab for sustainable change. Your incredible work is working together with the Ministry of Education on a groundbreaking initiative to integrate the environmental education into schools all across the country, empowering the next generation to become real stewards of our planet. Jessica, thank you so much for your work. Welcome. And again, it's an incredible honor to have you here with us. I can't wait to learn more about your incredible work and have you share more about it with our audience. To dive right into, let's start with the purpose behind it. Can you share with us how did this incredible work came to be, and what was your aha moment that made you realize that you need to begin this project?
Thank you, Laila, for having me in the podcast. I'm very excited to share about our work. It was actually an experience as a teenager. When I was about around 13, 14 years old, I started traveling to national parks with a friend and her parents, both biologists, both cornerstone of the creation of the national park system in Costa Rica. And as a teenager, I did not know the value of nature until this biologist explained with so much love all these interconnections in nature and seeing them experience under these parks. But more than experiencing the parks, I saw from a very young age the impact that education had in conservation. Christopher Vaughan, one of these biologists, her father, was working with macaws, and the population of macaws was really declining. The same that happened to our forests. We lost almost half of our forest. But he was working with macaws, and I went with him and my friend to see a program he had at local schools in a local community, and they were educating them. Instead of stealing these macaws to sell them as pets, they were teaching them about the value of the macaws and teaching them how to take care of them. And they became the tour guides. And these children, they were coloring books and learning about the macaws and learning to value and love them. This is the first time I made this connection that in order to conserve nature, which I fell in love as a teenager, education was going to be a key component to achieve it.
Wow, that's beautiful. And then that was the early beginning, because when you started with Del Mar Academy and then moving forward with de la Naturaleza, it was a very personal story also. It was the journey of becoming a mother, right? And being in Nosara, an interesting area and location in Costa Rica, and seeing so much change happening. Can you take us back to those days? What happened when you became a mother and realized that the future of your children's education is under threat and you wanted to do something against that.
So I am a Costa Rican that lived in the Central Valley and became a biologist, marine biologist, and did a master's in environmental resource management. When I was working in the Central Valley with connecting nature and education, this has been my path since I was 13 years old. And I moved to Nosara because of my husband. And after 2 years of helping the local schools, I started helping the local schools with an environmental program that I actually called Guardians of Nature. I got pregnant of my son, Kai. And I told my husband, we're going to have to move back to San Jose because I want to give my children a quality education. And sadly, many rural areas in Costa Rica the children don't receive the quality of education that they deserve. And this is where the opportunity arises of co-creating this school with a friend of ours that also had this need. We knew that the community had the need. And we took a leap of faith in creating a school in the middle of the jungle when there was no internet. We had to hire people by phone, bringing the materials here. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done is create a school from nothing in the conditions that we were, because Nosara didn't have much. But it's really helped create this connection again with nature and education and pilot, and it becomes an innovation lab. At Del Mar Academy, it's not only been an innovation lab in topics of environment, but also it's been a classroom to learn about life for me. It's definitely helped shape who I am today, and it's taught me so many things about life.
Beautifully said. And I went there a few weeks ago and saw it with my own eyes. It's truly one of the most, inspiring physical schools that serves as one of the primary labs for the actual curriculum and the work with the Ministry of Education. And that is what I would love to dive in right into with you, which is learning a little bit more about Guardianes de la Naturaleza, Guardians of Nature's vision and your, your history of working with the ministry. And why do you feel that it's more important than ever before bringing nature into the centerpiece of schools and education systems?
Yes, in 2019, we signed up a cooperation agreement with the Ministry of Education. I'm an Ashoka Fellow, so I'm a social entrepreneur. And Ashoka Fellows, we really focus on systems change. As I heard somewhere, someone says, we're not happy with teaching people how to fish. We want to change the fishing industry. And in this sense, the education system has all this influence from the Industrial Revolution. Not only Costa Rica's, but all education systems around the world has the tentacles of where education systems were born, which was during the Industrial Revolution. And we excluded nature during this time, and we haven't brought that nature as a key ally. And this not only fuels our environmental crisis because we are growing all the citizens disconnected from nature, not understanding nature, and also it really impacts the quality of education. I believe that nature as a key ally not only helps us live in harmony with nature, but also improves the quality. It improves, there's many studies out there and how when children are in contact with nature, it improves their physical well-being, also even their cognitive well-being. So it improves the way they learn. So by bringing nature into the equation, we're helping tackle the most pressing crisis of our time, which is the triple planetary crisis of pollution, biodiversity loss, and climate. But we are also betting on a better quality education for children in Costa Rica and beyond.
Very interesting. And there is specifically a program in Costa Rica called Bandera Azul, which is the ecological and kind of sustainability transformation process that has kept local businesses, hotels, tourism sector, and a lot of different industries in the country accountable to measure their environmental impact. And now you're taking that approach and applying it to the environmental education. Can you showcase a bit more how you're implementing Bandera Azul into the education systems and maybe share more about the specific point systems and ways that you're measuring impact in the schools?
Yes, so Blue Flag has been a flagship for Costa Rica. We have about 15 categories, and it has mobilized hundreds or even thousands of committees to protect nature from businesses and schools and homes and schools. I actually was a creator of the home category. They adopted it when I presented it in an entrepreneurial competition. I've also helped schools obtain it. We, as working with the Ministry of Education, we knew that the blue flag could be a key driver of the policy on education for sustainability. And while it has many, many positive things about it, we knew exactly what needed to take this to the next level. Technology, gamification principles, incentives from the private businesses. So we actually asked the government at the Ministry of Education, let's blend the strengths of Blue Flag and Mi Reto Guardian, which they've been supporting since 2019. And we right now, 25, are piloting this prototype in the province of Guanacaste. We hope to have it in the next province, in another province for next year, and in 3 years have it as a national, with all these new innovations, have it nationally. And what we envision is to have a program that becomes a blueprint for ministries of education. When you think of changing education systems as a whole, it's a task that some people might say impossible, but you can start cracking the system with a program that has worked in a country. And I believe it can crack the systems to start bringing nature in a way that supports this transition. So the Blue Flag program has been a flagship for Costa Rica. It has mobilized hundreds, if not thousands, of volunteers in different categories to take action for nature. I am actually the creator of the home category. I went to an entrepreneurial competition, and one of the judges loved the idea, brought it to the Blue Flag Mission, and then it was adopted nationwide. And I've also been helping the schools obtain the Blue Flag. And last year, we proposed to the commission that we work on with the Ministry of Education to help them take Blue Flag for schools to the next level. We know that it has mobilized thousands of schools, and we also knew some of the things that needed improvement. So we are bringing the technology, gamification, and incentives from the private businesses. And right now, we're piloting this prototype in the province of Guanacaste. And what we are working on is to have it extend to a new province next year, and in 3 years, have it nationwide. In 5 years, with God's help, we would like to have it in a second country and truly create this blueprint that can help ministries of education in Central America, Latin America, and beyond. And I believe through specific programs, we can start cracking the system. And this is what happened with the payment for environmental services in Costa Rica. That program change the dynamics of farmers and their lands to regenerate nature. And we hope the Blue Flag is that vehicle for regenerating schools and education. And that can also be going to other countries like the payment for environmental services did.
Very interesting vision and definitely very bold, because the payments for ecosystem services program has been something so innovative around the world, truly shifting the entire economic incentive structure to preserve forests, preserve nature, plant more trees, and literally shift the entire equation of degrading forest and using it for cattle or for infrastructure or real estate into protecting it and using it for the next generation. So it's very beautiful that you're taking this comparison model with payments for ecosystem services. And how do you see this, though, adapted in the education system? What would be the incentive structures to empower environmental awareness and practical approaches in schools? And what would be the set comparison methodologies of that?
So when we envision this transition, we envision that children, when they step into their school campus, they can experience what it is to be in harmony with nature. And to move towards this transition, it's essential to have resources. Sometimes schools don't even have toilet paper or desks. So when you think about capturing rainwater, having pollinated gardens or edible gardens, or having composting stations, for example, it needs resources. And I believe this is where we have different stakeholders that have so much to give. For example, the private businesses. We've been working with the private sector, and the private sector has given incentives like debts created from Tetra Pak material that was discarded, or entrepreneurs that have been donating composting stations. These are some examples of how the private businesses can help accelerate this transition. Also, the local governments play a key role. Earning the flag with 1 to 5 stars is a sense of pride for schools. And buying these flags is expensive when you think of a national level. But if local governments can assume the cost of these flags, it's another way that the another sector is helping. So what we envision is having all these different sectors and actors, which we not only envision it, we're working on it right now, is to have them support this collaborative vision of co-creating this new education system, because it takes a village.
Absolutely. It takes a village to raise a child, and then imagine so many beautiful future children from all around Costa Rica and the world that truly are the agents of change. Someone once said, if you want to have real impact, start with the next generation because time runs quickly, and those will be the ones who might be as best equipped for the challenges that we will be facing in the near futures. If you would take us on a journey into the future and let's imagine it's 2030 and you've achieved the different milestones and phases of your implementation plan. How does the education system look like in Costa Rica? And what does your bold vision look like in reality?
So I believe we have the future now because we've been working with schools all over Costa Rica. We've found those schools that are making that difference, that are creating that not only are they creating that vision, they have that vision now. So one example of this school, there's a school near the Arenal volcano where nature is a key ally of the school. And not only do they learn environmental education, it goes beyond that. They use nature for learning math, for learning collaboration, for testing new ideas. They grow their own food, so they have food security. They grow even their own protein. They have fish that they grow. Children are entrepreneurs, and through cooperatives, they create their own soaps, ecological soaps to sell. And like that, we found schools that are creating already this difference. And our work is in accelerating and catalyzing that change and replicating it. So what we want is to work on having this vision catch up in many schools where the teachers use nature, use their outside space within the school as a classroom where teachers see nature as an ally for the well-being of children and to improve the quality of education, and also how ready we're going to have these kids for the challenges of the future. The world has advanced in technology, and I believe we need to keep advancing in technology. But as the pendulum goes all the way to artificial intelligence, I believe there needs to be a course correction on bringing nature's intelligence with the same force.
Beautifully said. So you just mentioned the platform and how important it is to really build a balance and a harmony, and yet, work with technology and with the opportunities that exponential information age is bringing with it. How do you see the Guardians of the Nature program evolving with the Ministry of Education, building a platform, and what would be the next milestones towards your bold vision of the future? That is already here, but what would be the next steps moving forward?
I believe technology should be our ally in being able to scale. The only way to scale this and to be able to have more and more schools.
Wow, Jessica, that's so amazing. I'm so happy that you described it that way. And I'm really curious to understand more on your boldest vision for the next 5 years and how did we actually get there? So, what would be the next steps in order to develop this tech platform and the next iteration with the program Guardians of Nature and the collaboration
So
with the Ministry of Education?
technology is essential in what we're doing because if we want to scale, it can't be without technology. So
it's important to have extreme clarity about the next steps and milestones that we have going on. And that's why on the Soulutions platform, we work a lot with the milestone phases descriptions. And we recently just onboarded you and went into each of those. So can you describe what are the next steps in the project and what's happening in the impact on the ground?
So definitely the digital platform that we're using to capture all the KPIs, which means how many trees are being planted, how many pollinating gardens, how many square meters of edible gardens are created. The KPIs are very important. And this platform not only allows schools to submit the information in a friendly manner where they don't have to create an end report, but it also gives the people behind the back end, it allows to be able to review and award stars. So this is something that we're going to definitely keep working on as we expand in scale, because it would be ideal that we could have KPIs for Central America or Latin America, and then we can show the muscle of when we work together. So this would be the ideal scenario. We're also training the whole system, like from regional directors to supervisors to principals. It has to be the whole chain that has to row in the same direction. So that is the work that we're currently doing. Also, just supporting the schools in this process. We're creating a WhatsApp community where schools can share experiences, ask questions, because we believe in cross pollination of ideas and motivation. So this is the work of this year. And also listening to the schools. What would they like to see improve? What can we change? Because at Guardians of Nature, we are always testing, and then we listen, and then we make iterations, and that's how we've been working, and that's how we're going to continue to work. We don't pretend to have all the answers. We are here to support that transition.
Wonderful. And as it so often is, especially working in the impact space, it's never a straight line, right? It's always a spiral of iteration and testing and growing and design thinking and going back again and understanding what worked, what didn't. I would love to know what were some of the challenges you faced on that journey and what has kept you going, because you are truly a power woman, a mother, school director, and involved into so many wonderful projects. What has kept you going? What's the motivation that keeps you getting out of bed in the morning and really working on these sometimes very complex systems?
So when I started many years ago, I have more than 20 years working on this interconnection of nature and education. Did like hit this road where I saw that people, maybe the mayor at that time or other stakeholders were undervaluing nature, and that's something that we that I experienced. But right now I see that there's this fertile ground. People want to make the change, and when people understand their own power in their own space. It doesn't matter how old you are, where you are. Giving that power is essential because everybody, it doesn't matter how old you are, where you live, what you do for a living, everybody plays an essential role. What has kept me going, because yes, we've had many challenges where something doesn't work or we have to get up, clean our knees and keep going, is a conviction that this is essential. This change is essential. My spirituality definitely is part of how I handle. Also, the courage and the faith and the hope is essential in who I am, and believing that it's possible because I'm supported. And this has had ripple effects in my life and who I am, in the resilience, the patience. A lot of people can work with the government and they give up. And I think one muscle I've really grown or just, made it stronger is patience. The processes take time, and it's all about building relationships, having relationships of trust. Change moves at the speed of trust. It's a quote. I don't know who said it, but I truly believe in that. And building those relationships over time is what pays off.
Absolutely, totally. And that there is something really interesting, which is, being a young entrepreneur myself and seeing so many social entrepreneurs around the world that are courageous enough to tackle challenges, and yet sometimes, like they feel like they're going and going and about to burn out, but then something happens and they go back and stand up again. It's like this, wow, you really need to bring a lot of strength and persistence into this game, especially working as a social entrepreneur who really cares about more than just the profit, but truly also the purpose and the impact on the local community and those around you. What would be your message that you truly wish more funders and allies would understand in order to support you as the social entrepreneur and hero of the local community that you are?
For funders, it's very important to choose the leader and create a relationship with a leader that you trust, and also support processes. Sometimes, in the philanthropy world, it's very common that you only want to focus on the books that you gave or the tools and not the people. And it's the people that make changes. So you have to support. You have to find those people that you like, and you see their vision, and not only vision but the strategy, and you support those leaders of those teams, because those teams is what makes the difference.
That's really aligned with my favorite quote. Teamwork makes the dream work. And I truly think that this is the spirit of our generation, is that we need to come together, everyone, intergenerationally from all sectors of our society, to find the ways to make systems works. And this being said, to everyone who's listening now, maybe they might feel inspired by something that you said, or might be wondering, how can I support her and her project and the work that she's doing, not just for the education program in Costa Rica, but for the global blueprint, nature-based learning into the classrooms. So what could people do to support you today, and what would that look like?
So anywhere from funding, resources are always needed to support in, for example, a video creation, like anything that makes the message go further. Also supporting in ways to schools, anything that can make a school greener. That would be part of the incentives for these schools. So through different strengths, also, people can write us in different strengths that they can bring to the vision. It's essential. So yes, we're here to co-create this vision through collaborative means. That's how we've gotten here, and that's what we plan to continue to do.
Beautiful. And so if you're listening to this, you can also go to the Soulutions platform and see the project description, its different milestones, the impact that it will have once the milestone funding requirements are achieved. And every month, the project is actually going to submit a report on what's happening on the ground with a little, story that makes it more authentic, more truthful, and transparent to know exactly what's happening in this project of Guardianes de la Naturaleza, or in English, Guardians of Nature. Last question that I would love to ask you, my dear, is if you had a magic wand and a message for the world, for the future generations, what would it be to, empower, inspire, and catalyze the world with your love and with your inspiration?
That we work towards creating this good relationship between us and nature, and between us and each other. Relationships is the key to everything, and we need to reconnect this relationship with our planet. We live in the most beautiful planet known to man, and we need to start um, having those moments where we find those connections that of love, of respect, and reverence for what we have. I think we don't appreciate what we have as much, and hopefully we don't have to be put against the wall to make that change. That change can happen sooner. So yes, my magic wand is that everybody understands the power that they have to make this change possible, and it takes a village, and it takes the human village to make this change in trajectory that our planet is on right now.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for your words, for your work, for your inspiration, for your purpose, for the wonderful soul that you are. And I'm just incredibly grateful and honored to be working with you and learning from you. And I wish you all the best. Yeah, let's keep the teamwork dreamwork going and make this beautiful reality and dreams coming to life. So thank you so much for your time today. It's a pleasure, and I see you soon.
Thank you so much, Lila. I appreciate all your support.
All right, guys. Much love. Ciao, ciao.